Right, let's make a start. Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. I'm Charlie Kemp, I'm Head of Creative Place at the Tees Valley Combined Authority. We're recording this session so that we can upload it afterwards, so that those who haven't been able to join us this afternoon can catch up on the conversation. I'm joined by my colleagues from the Creative Place team, so I'll ask everybody to ask each of them to introduce themselves, and then I'll talk to you about how we're going to run this session. But I'll pass to Heather first of all.
Hi everyone, my name is Heather Walker. I'm Creative Place Programmes Manager at the Combined Authority. Chris.
Hello, my name is Chris Palmley and I'm the Creative Place Development Officer here at the Combined Authority.
Hi, I'm Jenny Dewar. I'm Creative Place Development Officer as well at Combined Authority.
We're all at the Combined Authority. So that's us. We are part of the Creative Place team. Our captions on for the session, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So how we're going to run this, we've prepared some slides and some information to share with you. A lot of it is available in the guidance that you may already have been able to download, but we felt it'd be helpful to talk it through as well and kind of just put some emphasis in areas that are of particular significance and just kind of bring to life some of the reasons behind some of the requirements that we have within the programme and some of the thinking as well. So we'll talk you through the overview of the programme, what we're trying to achieve, how we're trying to do it, how we want to support you to get involved, and then we really want to take your questions. So there is a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, hopefully, that you'll be able to spot. Use that, pop your questions in there. We'll get through as many of them as we can answer within this session. Any that we run out of time or we need to get other colleagues to kind of help with providing the answer, we'll take those away. But all of the questions will be added to the Q&A sheet that's on the website, and you'll be able, by the end of the week, you'll be able to go in there and look at the answers. So do remember to follow up there if you need to. Okay, so you know who we are. Let's talk to you about the programme. So the Tees Valley Artists of the Year programme is quite a bold programme. It's something that we hope is really reflective of the ambition that we have for the creative and cultural industries within the region. And it has come at a point where for a number of years we have been investing in the development and the growth of a creative cluster within the region. What we've really tried to do is look at how we can use the Combined Authority's investment to create an environment in which the creative industries thrive. And largely our focus has been on creating the underpinning infrastructure, the underpinning conditions that will support individuals and organisations within the sector to diversify their business models, to build their resilience, to expand their networks. And so really we've kind of focused on kind of creating the conditions in which the sector succeeds. The Artist of the Year initiative sort of comes around the other side of that, and is a real celebration of the talent that we have in Tees Valley. We want to shout about the incredible artists that are making work here. We are really proud of those in our creative community who are based here and who are making work here. We want those artists to become a beacon for others who are looking at this sector and considering whether or not they see themselves building a career within it. And we want to sort of hold ourselves accountable for making sure that this is a great place to build a creative profession and build your artistic work. And we want to change perceptions of the region externally as well, and remove any of those barriers that may have been there historically that have made it harder to build a really successful artistic career because of where you're from. This is about changing all of that around and leading with the talent. So the rationale for that, as well as kind of knowing anecdotally that we have incredible artists in the region. We actually, when we were designing our program, if we can move on to the next slide, when we were designing our program, we started to look at, we wanted to make sure that we got a really strong baseline understanding of who was here, what they were doing, how that was performing. And one of the things that really stood out to us was the fact that the workforce in the creative industries workforce in Tees Valley more than triples when you factor in the freelance aspect of that sector. Now, with the official data that's so often available and referred to, often freelancers and artists aren't kind of captured within that, but actually we know that you're the lifeblood of this industry, and so this program is also about really celebrating that and championing you. So in terms of why the program, I've talked a bit about it, but we also have some kind of underpinning objectives that it's worth just running through. So we are on a mission to transform Tees Valley as an engine room of creative content production. We want great work to be made here and exported from this place. And to do that, it has to be a brilliant place to make work from, where artists and creators feel really well supported. We want people to be aware of the work that's coming out of Tees Valley, and for the region to become somewhere that people look to, sort of their cultural temperature check, to understand the exciting new content that's being generated. As I've said, this is about celebrating local talent, but we also want to support those who are working as freelancers and artists to build kind of sustainability and resilience into their practice, and equip them with the skills and the connections and sort of diversity of thought to enable them to really direct their careers in really positive and proactive ways. So this programme aims to do all of those things and do that by centering artists in the journey. I'm going to hand over now to Heather to talk to us a little bit about who should be applying for this programme. So Heather.
Right, okay, so I guess the key thing is that you are creative or a creative collective. So what we mean by that, you might be a band or a small theatre company or a group of people that you like work or produce work with collectively. You obviously have to demonstrate your commitment, or you basically you live in the Tees Valley, or you work and the majority of your work is made in the Tees Valley. So for example, you might live outside of the Tees Valley border, but you've got, say, a studio here, or you can demonstrate that the majority of your work is made here, and there's a real strong connection and connection to this place and a commitment to this place. Because essentially we want to make sure the money that we invest in the 5 artists that we're going to invest in, like, goes back and is benefiting Tees Valley and its businesses, and you know that you're spending money in the Tees Valley. I guess the other key thing is that the art forms. So we appreciate that artists don't necessarily fit into a specific art form box, but for the purposes of being able to sort of divide people up into different assessment panels and things, we would ask you to just choose the one that's most relevant to you. So we've got film and TV, literature, live performance, which is sort of encompasses anything from comedy to outdoor art to live performance, spoken word, music and theatre, obviously, and dance, and music, visual arts, and then craft and design. But there is opportunity, which Jen will talk about in terms of being able to sort of really describe your practice and where you think you fit. But we do ask you to choose one of those. I suppose the most important thing is that you have a body of original creative work. So that's work that you've made yourself. And again, the second most important thing is that you've received some kind of professional recognition, and that might be all sorts of things. I think there's in the guidance, there's some examples, but you know, that could be that, you know, you've toured work, you've shown work and you've had an audience, or you've got a massive following on Spotify. So there's lots of different examples, and it's not exhaustive, but yeah, just to really evidence that you have that. And then this whole program is about kind of achieving a career tipping milestone. So we're looking for people that can really articulate what that is and what you want to achieve. So having a think about where do you want to get to as a result of this program. The sort of nuts and bolts of what we need to see in the application form from just a sort of eligibility point of view. you need to sort of demonstrate that you've got the intention of earning the majority of your income through your creative practice, and or a commitment to do so. Whether, you know, because we appreciate, you know, there might be a bit of part-time work here, or and a bit of something else over there, but the, you know, the core part of your work is you know, making income through your creative practice. Because as a combined authority, we invest in businesses, and so, but obviously as an artist, you are a business. You're but in terms of where we need you to be eligible, is that you'd have to be registered with HMRC as a self-employed person, or as a freelancer or a sole trader, or, you know, you might also be a company or a partnership registered with Companies House. And you need to have a business bank account, or that you will set one up, if you haven't got one already. That just, so essentially why we need that to happen is we want to show that we've paid a business, and that the bursary element of the grant that you get, you then transfer from your business account to then pay yourself into your personal account. And this is how the sort of transaction works, and the grant works. But yeah, we can support you to help set that up if that's an issue. And then obviously you need to be able to start the programme and work with us from April 2025 and commit, and we'll talk about what the commitment is going forward.
Great, thanks, Heather. So let's dive into a little bit more detail about what the programme consists of. You can see on the screen there are sort of two aspects to this. The first is the financial investment. So this is a bursary equivalent to the real living wage. And this is, as Heather said, something that will be paid into your business account so that you can pay yourself for the year. And then alongside that, you'll also have access to a £6,000 development budget. And the development budget is really yours to self-direct, but it is there to enable you to progress your activity, kind of establish more in your toolkit. So you could use it for things like paying a collaborator, someone else to work with you on a certain project. You could use it to any sort of administrative costs associated with making your work. You can use it to support the planning and development activity that you might want to put in place to help you to achieve your goal. You could use it to attend training or attend certain events. It's really there as the kind of the budget that you can draw on to support you to achieve your activity, and to really kind of accelerate your progress throughout the year. And then, in addition to that, there is a whole programme of development support, which has been really carefully designed in consultation with partners to the programme and to artists, and has been kind of tweaked as we've gone with the 2024 artists as well. So Heather, do you want to talk to us about what that development support looks like?
I think the thing to say is it's a really special, tailored package of support that you really wouldn't get anywhere else, and so it's made up of, each artist will get a mentor from the region, so an industry recognised mentor. That might be CEO of the theatre, or someone from one of the sector development organisations that is at a senior level, and they're really there to sort of support your journey and to help you create a plan, to an action plan really, and to sort of hold you to account to ensure that you're actioning that plan, and it's really kind of they're there to say, for example, if you're a writer, right, I really want to see 5,000 words that you've really got down on the page by X date, and then I'll read it and I'll kind of help you and read it and feedback to you, or it might be about them accessing their networks and introducing you to different people, but they're really there along your entire journey, meeting regularly and supporting you to achieve your goals. In addition to that, there is an opportunity to get industry specialist mentors from outside of the region. And this is really fantastic because it's about kind of really plugging you into the industry that's outside of the Tees Valley and really expanding your networks. They're kind of like the door openers, and they're really well connected people and really got like really high skills and lots of experience in the field. So to give you a bit of an example, so this year's cohort have worked with and had mentoring from Channel 4 film commissioner, and a talent development manager from Factory International, people connected to the British Council, award-winning authors and screenwriters. So they're just really there to kind of give you an insight and advice, and some, you know, some of them have like read people's work or fed back on, or you know, connected them into other people. So that's a really exciting part of the program that just really kind of opens up your world, I suppose. On top of that, there is tailored PR and marketing. So this is, again, really special because it's tailored to you with the industry experts in that field. And it's really trying to help you tell your story, frame how you talk about yourself, help, you know, with like your, if it's like PRing a certain product that you're wanting to put out there, or, you know, supporting social media and branding yourself. And then there's tailored fundraising support as well. So they're again, if you like help with writing applications or developing a crowdfunding campaign, they're there to sort of help you support that. And there's a mixture of like group work and also like very individualized and tailored support. And I think that's also really important to say, like, you know, the cohort is really a kind of peer support. And so you know, we regularly get you all together, and you can learn from each other. And this year's cohort, they've already collaborated with each other and worked together. And there's just lots and lots of other opportunities where we try and like get you to come to events and promote what you're doing, and network you into other opportunities through both our contacts at TVCA as well as all the mentors that you're working with. And if you have any personal access costs, that you know, to help you access the support that you're getting or help you with grant management, then we would obviously enable that to happen.
So hopefully from that you get a real sense of how we are kind of trying to build a village around you and the professional journey that you're on, and really tailoring the support to meet your needs and your requirements. So we will all be on the same mission, but really we're looking for you to then kind of be really clear in how you want to make the most of that opportunity, because there's going to be a whole team behind you, but you need to show up and kind of help them to help you. So Chris, do you want to talk a little bit about what the sort of the expectation of the commitment from the artists is?
Yeah. So in terms of the commitment to the programme, we'd expect all the artists to sort of fully participate in all the support that's offered to them. Like Heather mentioned, you'd be partnered with an NPO or SDO who will help to develop your development plan, and getting this right is really key to your development throughout the whole year. And obviously it can be refined through the year, but if you can get it right at the start, it'll just put you leaps and bounds ahead straight away. As part of the work with the NPO or SDO, you'll have monthly meetings just to keep track of how you're progressing with your development plan, to make sure that it's working. Like I said, if you need to tweak it as you go throughout the year, that's what they're there for. And these meetings are sort of designed to support your development throughout the full year and to sort of keep you on track. The NPOs and SDOs are there as well to sort of connect you into relevant networks and check in on against your goals. A lot of these meetings have been really key, like Heather said, for this year's cohort, where they'll set them goals to really sort of focus the minds and energies into just getting the most out of it. We'd also like you to have like regular catch-ups with your appointed Creative Place Development Officer, which would either be myself or Jen, and we'll support you throughout the whole process of the year as well. We'll do everything from help with the grant management element of it, which probably sounds a lot scarier than it is when you're submitting quarterly reports, but it's kind of you just telling us what you've done that quarter, telling us how much you've spent that quarter, and we'll help you with all the rest of it. You know, we'll help you update your milestones and your outputs and everything like that. like I said, we'll also be on hand throughout the year for any sort of questions or any issues that you have, as well as your regional mentors. We're there to help with your development plans alongside them and act as facilitators to achieve your goals throughout the year, because we want you to get the most out of the program that you possibly can. That's really key. Across the year, there'll be sort of regular training, workshops, mentoring, coaching sessions that we'd expect you to attend. And as a result of the support via the program, we'd really like if you could give back in some way to other people in the region. That might be something like mentoring a new creative. It could be giving a career talk or providing workshops to young people. But again, it's something that we'll help to like identify the appropriate opportunities for you, and sort of would really like you to be an advocate for the program and to like really jump in and take part. And I think it's sort of been key that the artists this year have really shown how much it's helped them and helped to promote that as well.
Great. Thanks, Chris. So hopefully you're getting a sense of how much opportunity there will be and how many kind of people will be available to you to support you in the journey for the course of the year. But I think it's probably worth just saying all of this will be tailored to the way that you work best. And I think we are really keen to make sure that we're helping you find the right fit with some of these relationships. You know, we don't expect you to have all the answers from the get-go. What we do ask is that you're open and that you show up when you say you're going to show up, and that you're really kind of great on the communication with us to help manage expectations and help plan ahead, and help us to support those who we're bringing in to work with you to plan ahead as well. There's also a point about evaluation. So we really want to make sure that throughout the year we have a good understanding of the impact that the support is having on you and kind of what we're achieving together. So we've got an evaluation process that we'll loop you into as we go. Again, we'll fit that in around your availability and make sure that that's kind of easy for you to engage with. And there's also something about you being an ambassador for the region and you being an advocate for the programme and kind of helping to raise awareness of the ambition that we hold in Tees Valley and the way that we're trying to transform the landscape for the creative industries. So hopefully that has kind of given you a flavour of what's to come. So now let's start talking about how you get into the application process. And we thought we'd sort of flip it around and start with how we assess the applications, and then we'll drill down into the detail of actually what the application looks like. So Chris, do you want to talk to us about the assessment process?
Yeah, so the assessment process, the first thing, once you've submitted your application, we'll go through some eligibility checks. And these are essentially just for us to ensure that you are who you say you are, you're based in the Tees Valley, whether that's as a resident or, like we previously mentioned, that you have an operational base here and or the majority of your work is made and delivered in the Tees Valley. So these are really the essential criteria behind all of it. Then once we've gone through that process, we'll really look at where you are in the stage of your career with the assessment and the scoring of your application. And this will be assessed and scored by art form relevant national portfolio organisations or sector development organisations. And like you can see on the screen, it will be 50% on the artistic quality of your work and 50% in response to the application questions. Once we've gone through that process, interviews will happen for shortlisted candidates. So we'd usually shortlist to around about 5 candidates per art form. And again, the interviews will be with the NPOs and the SDOs and TVC staff members who have assessed the application, and it'll give them a chance to meet with you and delve deeper into sort of what you've said on your application form and sort of who you are, where you see yourself being in the next 5 to 10 years, and really where you think your career is going to go. And then once we've whittled that down again, we will have a final panel made up of TVCA representation, Arts Council England, NPO and SDO, and other representatives from the sector who are like really strong leaders and have great insights. That could be independent practitioners or freelancers, just really people who are good, strong advocates for the creative sector. It's worth mentioning as well that those who were shortlisted but ultimately were unsuccessful will be given the opportunity to participate in a program that we run called the Aspire Artist Support Program. But we can touch upon that more at a later date.
Thanks, Chris. Before we move into the application process, I just wanted to reflect on the fact that, as you'll have heard from that description of the assessment process, this really is taking a village, and I think I just want to acknowledge how brilliant our partners from national portfolio organisations and sector development organisations have been and will be again this year in offering us their support and really diving into this and kind of bringing their expertise to bear on this. It's an incredible thing to see everybody coming together around this kind of collective endeavour. And so just be reassured that through that process, we really are drawing on the best expertise and making decisions about kind of how right the fit is and how much support and how appropriate the support is going to be at this stage. Now, we know that from last year, this is likely to be a highly competitive application process. It just is. And unfortunately, not everybody will be successful. But as Chris said, we have a plan in place for supporting those who are shortlisted. And even if you're not shortlisted, there is real benefit in the fact that your work will have been seen and considered and discussed by some of those who are really leading in their field in the region. And it's a great opportunity to kind of build a bit of a conversation there and to follow up and to really engage with some of the other work that's going on. So hopefully the application process in itself will be a useful process for you to kind of reflect on the work that you're doing, where you're trying to get to, and then to know that more people are going to be aware of that just because you applied for this programme. And on that note, I'm going to ask Jen to talk us through what the application process actually looks like, because we've tried really hard to make this as kind of tactile as we can. We want to give you really strong opportunities to tell your story and share your work. And so we're using a platform called Zealous specifically for this programme. So Jen will talk you through how that works and what you need to do.
Thanks, Charlie. So as Charlie says, we're using an online application called Zealous, a platform called Zealous, sorry. You will need to sign up for a Zealous account to be able to apply. And as Charlie said, we really want people to be able to tell us about their work in the best way. And so the main part of the application, which is called the Why You section, you can fill that in either in writing or you can upload a video, which will give you the chance to talk about your work in the way that you would like to. The first thing that you'll be asked to do once you get into the Zealous platform, as Heather mentioned before, is to choose an art form category, and it's just a drop-down list, and you need to pick it on the first page, and you will see it on every page of the application, but you don't need to do anything with it again. You just need to choose it once at the beginning. The next section is the portfolio submission, and this is your opportunity to upload some evidence of your work. You can attach 7 files or URLs. 2 of the documents can be long and then 5 shorter pieces of work. And at least one of these needs to give evidence of professional recognition, which has been mentioned before and is outlined in detail in the guidance. If you are going to submit a video for the Why You section, you also need to upload this here. If you can just go on to the next slide, there's just an image of where the upload bit is. So there's a big list there on the left that tells you about each document that you can put on. And on the right-hand side, all you do is press the Upload Files button, and then you choose the file from your computer, and it will be visible there where the Tees Valley background is at the moment. Underneath, there's the option to put a title for that particular piece of work and a description, and we would encourage you to do this to give as much detail and tell us as much as you can about your work for the assessors to see. And then to put the next one on, you just press Upload Files again, and you can do that to have up to 7 files on there. Next, after this page, there's just a form asking for some basic information, and towards the end of that form is the Why You section. After that, there's a section about a referee, which Chris is going to talk about in a minute, and then some questions about financial due diligence and contact information and things like that.
Great, thanks, Jen.
So, sorry, go on.
Did you
I
want
was just going to say about the Why You section. Sorry, Charlie. So the questions in the Why You section, the first one is we ask you to give an overview of your current work or practice. And again, this is your chance to tell us about what you're up to now, tell us about you and your work, your journey so far, what recognition you have gained so far, where your work has been shown. And this is your opportunity to show us that you meet the eligibility criteria as well. The second question is the dream. What is your ultimate goal or ambition for your professional career and creative practice? Now, the word count for this one is quite short, and we just kind of want you to think big and go, what is the ultimate goal? Where do you see yourself in the future? It could be, my ambition is to have a solo exhibition outside of Tees Valley, or my dream is to go on a national tour with my band. So yeah, think big and just tell us where you see yourself in the future. The next question is list up to 3 goals, objectives or outcomes you want to achieve by the end of this programme. And I think as Heather mentioned before, we know everyone's journey will be different and each applicant will be starting from a different point in their career. But the main thing that we're looking for is artists who can demonstrate ambition and aspiration and kind of have an idea of how they might get there and how they might achieve those goals. Example goals could be things like getting an agent, securing a national tour, having a screenplay commissioned, presenting work at a key industry event or conference. There isn't a requirement during this year for you to make a new piece of work, but we would expect that you have work that you already have in development, and it can be, if it's right for you, it can be the opportunity to develop a new piece of work. But the wonderful thing about this program is that it pays for your time. So if there's a project that you're already working on or that you haven't had the time to do or the chance to do, we're looking for how this program could help to strengthen that or give it the boost that you haven't been able to have before. So yeah, it's paying for your time and your opportunities to make those connections and to boost your work. It's not paying for a project, as in not paying for the creation of a piece of work. The last question is, why is this the right moment for you? So we want to know what makes you ready for this opportunity. What, if anything, has been holding you back? What support might you need to achieve your goals? And how do you think this program can help? Like Charlie said before, we know that we know everyone won't have all of the answers to this, but we're looking for artists who are ambitious and who can see how this kind of opportunity might be able to boost their career trajectory.
Great. Thanks, Jen. Yeah, this is all about trying to remove any of those barriers. Jen referenced the fact that you need a referee to endorse your application. So Chris, can you tell us a little bit about who that person should be?
Yep. So your referee should be someone who essentially is really familiar with your work and that they're established in their field of the specialism and they're qualified to comment on your talent, and someone who can really champion your work and see the potential that you've got and where your career trajectory is going. It can't just be your mum or your best mate who's into what you do. It's got to be someone whose opinion sort of really holds weight and that other people would listen to and sort of take note of. It could be anyone from another established artist, a senior cultural leader. It could be someone a producer who's programmed your work, a curator who's exhibited your work. It could be, if you're a musician, it could be a well-respected radio presenter or a promoter. It's just somebody who really understands your work, really is a champion of what you do and can just advocate and be a voice for you.
And that includes senior course leaders
Yeah.
as well. Great. And so the timescales for this.
So the timelines for this is the applications opened on the 6th of January, and the deadline for the applications, as you can see on screen, will be 12 noon on Valentine's Day, Friday the 14th of February. The notification of who's been shortlisted will be at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, the 12th of March. The shortlisted applicant interviews will take place over 3 days, which will be on Thursday 20th, Friday 21st, and Monday 24th of March. And then the shortlisted applicants from who will have been gone to the final panel, they will be notified of the outcome by 5 p.m. on Thursday, the 10th of April. That's when everybody will have been told whether they've been successful or not. And like Heather mentioned earlier, the programme lasts for 1 year, running from April 25 right the way through to March 2026.
Great, thanks, Chris. So we're going to shortly turn to questions, but we wanted to just finish with a little bit of inspiration about to kind of whet your appetite for what is possible in the space of a year. So for our 5 artists of 2024, I think it's been a year full of surprises, as well as some really hard-won achievements. Amelia Coburn has performed internationally at Reeperbahn Festival in Hamburg in Germany as part of Generator's showcase there, and also has another international gig in the diary. She's toured for the first time with a full band. She's attending a songwriting retreat with Chris Difford from Squeeze, and you may have seen that Paul Weller is a big fan and has named her album as one of the best things he heard all of last year. Andy Berryman, who is a filmmaker, has been shadow directing on BBC's Dumping Ground, building his contacts in the industry, and that has led to him directing some scenes himself. He's also completed filming of his new BFI-funded short film, Giants. He's met the BBC head of comedy, and he's receiving mentoring from Channel 4 Commissioner Amy O'Hara. Claire A. Baker is a visual artist who, over the last year, has exhibited her work in Oberhausen in Germany. As a result of her industry mentoring, she received an invitation from the curator of the Venice Biennale and undertook a tailor-made tour of the Biennale. And she's also visited Frieze Festival. She's developing new work and has been supported with access to Teesside University's machine embroidery facilities. Lisette Orton is a novelist, dramatist and performer, and following on from her mentoring, she was invited to Factory International in Manchester to meet key members of staff, see new work and get feedback on her writing. She's also launched her new novel for children, which is called Lights Out, and Lisette's also undertaken a week of R&D at ARC on her new novel theatre work, so really enabling her to branch into an area of work that she's been passionate about pursuing for a while, but not necessarily have the tools to do so. And finally, Scott Turnbull is a theatre maker, actor and illustrator, and over the course of the year, he's presented a scratch event of his new work, Unexpected Item, in the Bagging area, and is having his work reviewed by an award-winning comedy writer. He continues to develop his TV script, and he's submitted a very successful Arts Council bid, which will enable him to develop the theatre version of Unexpected Item, ready for an Edinburgh Fringe run. So a huge amount can be achieved within a year, and there is a team that is lining up ready to help you make those dreams come true and to really achieve what it is that you want to do. So hopefully that has given you a really thorough overview and answers some of the questions that you may have had, but we do have time now. If we come out of the presentation, we've got time now to answer any questions that you're still sitting with. And we've got a couple in the chat, so we'll start with those, but feel free to add more if there is anything else that you'd like to ask. So the first question is, how would someone that would like help filling in the application, they need to explain what it is they do, and they find that that's kind of much easier to do face to face. How can we support anybody that needs a little bit of additional help with the application?
So I think if you've got very specific access needs, or like, I don't know, if you've got dyslexia or you've got other sort of access needs, then I think if you can email Creative Place email that's on within the guidance and just really specifically say what you need help with, And then we can use some of the access budget. If, you know, if, for example, if you need someone to sort of speak out loud and then write the application, obviously they can't help you. We can't advise what should be in your application. We can't sort of do individual kind of chats with anyone that wants to apply. I mean, mainly, I mean, we'd love to, but we can't. Obviously, with capacity, that would be a lot of people to talk to. So I think if there's specific access needs, please please specify like what they are and how best that we can address those, and then we'll do our best to enable, if there's any sort of you know, a person that, you know, a bit like say the Arts Council do at the moment, if you've got access needs and need someone to sort of to help you write that and just take down your words in writing, then we can set that up and find someone to support you to do that. But yeah, let us know and we will do our best to sort of support you to do that. But I think in essence, we can't sort of do one-to-ones or kind of sit down with everyone and help you through the application. But if there's any technical help and or you know, like just sort of technical questions that you have about the application form, then please just fire them across to us and we'll do our best to sort of answer them.
Great. It's worth as well just reiterating that the platform that we've chosen for people to apply for also enables you to explain in a way that you could face to face more effectively. So the fact that you're able to upload examples of your work and the fact that you're able to submit a recording of yourself answering the questions does give you, for those who find that really hard to put into writing, hopefully that will make that process easier as well.
Yeah, and we know from like last year's applications that really helped some people that didn't you know, didn't like writing, that the video option was a really useful tool, and it was actually really great to see video applications and really helpful for our assessors.
Yeah, it definitely brings it to life. We have another question that is about professional recognition, where and how you share the industry reviews or panel feedback from awards, for example, within the application process. You can do that online, can't you?
Yes, so I suppose if you've got like quotes or anything, you could say put them all into a Word document and upload it as part of the evidence on Zealous. So within the sort of upload of 1 of 7 that you could sort of put down all the sort of key quotes that you've had from industry reviews or panels, or you could obviously also reference them in the sort of section where you're in the section where you have telling you about your work and the sort of referencing your professional recognition. So wherever you think that fits better, but yeah, as a document so we can read them, or as part of like referencing it within the sort of the application question.
Great. Next question is around the development budget, the £6,000 towards development, and whether or not that's an upper limit or what it can be put towards something that costs more than that. I mean, essentially, yes, you can match it. You can use it to match against other budgets, absolutely. We encourage people, obviously, to use their development budget alongside their development plan. And I think the artists this year have used it in a whole host of ways. Some of it has gone towards kit, for example. Some of it has gone towards other people's time and fees. It can support attendance at really significant conferences or events that it's great for you to be at. And we can kind of work with you to understand that. I guess the kind of the flip side of it is that once it's gone, it's gone. So using it in a really smart way that's going to enhance the kind of what you're trying to achieve over the course of the year is going to be essential.
And I suppose the other thing is like, you know, obviously the bursary element, the bit that we pay you yourself, we're not tracking how you spend that. You know, that's like your salary essentially. So we're not asking you to tell us how you spent that. Like, you know, you can spend it on whatever you want,
As you would your
normal
salary.
salary. So but it's the development budget that we actually report on, and we, anything over £1,000 is we ask you to sort of make sure that you've got, like, you've asked us about that before you kind of go off and spend it. But that's the whole process of conversation between the regional mentor, ourselves, and just laying that out right at the beginning and plotting that out as we go.
Yeah, the key thing with the bursary is that it is intended to support you to give as much time to this programme as you can. We really want you to make space to focus on your development journey in the course of this year. So treating it as an income is really important, and making sure that you haven't kind of got too many competing or conflicting commitments and challenges that would get barriers that would kind of get in the way of you being able to dedicate time to this is really key. Next question, what are we looking for in that career tipping point moment? Some of last year's winners have tried something new, others have extended what they already do. So are we looking for a definite change?
I don't know if it's change. I don't necessarily think it's a change. I think it's clarity of ambition and some understanding of how you might get there. With, you know, obviously not having all the answers. I think was always have said all along. Don't need to know every step of the way of how to get there, but a sort of an understanding of how you might get there. And you know, with the appreciation that you know somebody met someone and that's kind of changed how they might think about something or approach something. So I think the people you meet along the way obviously do have influence over the activity that you do or develop as you go. But I think it's the articulation of the ambition and how you think you might achieve that, and what barriers have already been put in, you know, what barriers of experience that maybe have stopped you getting there to date. I think that's what we want to understand.
Yeah, I think if you sort of gone as far as you can, but with some additional resource, you could really kind of accelerate past that point. And I think that's true of all the artists this year, that even those that have sort of that extension has moved them into spaces that they've not been able to get into before.
And I think it's also that just readiness for the program. I think, you know, because obviously it's a big deal, like, and you know, the artist this year, it's a really big deal, and it's quite like, oh my god, I've got this thing now. What do I do? And like, so I think it's that the readiness to experience it and be open to, you know, the advice and the input from other people. And so I think that's also something we're trying to understand from when we, especially in the interview bit, so that beyond when you get to the if you get to the interview stage, that's where we might explore that more as well.
Yes. Does the artist own the work they produce, and if sold, is any percentage expected by the programme? That is your work. We are supporting you to do your work. We aren't paying for your work, because this isn't, you know, the bursary is to support your time in the programme and the development of your career. The work that you produce as a result of that, and with that time, that is your work. What we would like is, as we've said already, that advocacy, that engagement, that willingness to participate in press releases, to kind of be a real kind of beacon for others, and to tell the story. So, you know, if you're being interviewed about your work and the stuff that's happening, to kind of point back to the Artist of the Year programme and let people know that the region is behind you, and that we're backing you with the work that you're doing. The next question, how important is it to articulate the structural barriers to your progression? I think if there are barriers that you have experienced, we really need to understand those. I think that all helps to inform our awareness. But, you know, that's going to look different for different people. And I think, you know, what we're really looking for is sort of the awareness of the challenges, and then kind of also a clarity about what would make the difference. How can we overcome those? So, you know, we're not wanting necessarily, this isn't a kind of a blame throwing exercise or something to, you know, really, we don't need everybody to have a really challenging story in order to be eligible for this programme. But if there are significant barriers that you've experienced, and you know what would make the difference to enable you to overcome those, that's really worth telling us, because that can help to organise our thinking and start with some of that planning. But I think you've just got to be really truthful and really honest about your professional journey, where you've got to, where you want to be, and how this programme can help you to do that. Is there anything that you'd add to that?
No, and I think that's probably, and I know that's you might not be able to completely go into depth in the application form stage, but I think that will be something that's more explored if you got to the shortlist. That would like something that you could further expand on.
Okay, so next question, how focused and singular are you hoping the ambitious goal of an applicant will be? As creatives, we have a variety of ambitious goals we know we could take a powerful run at with this support. Are you more looking for one key goal to tackle? No.
No, I think no. I think all the artists have had multiple goals, and like I mean, I say to take Scott Turnbull as an example, you know, he's got a sort of true two-pronged. Well, actually, most of them have sort of multiple things
Mm.
going on at the same time. So I think, you know, they might. So you know, I'm taking Scott as an example. He's got his theatre show that he wants to kind of develop and propel and get, you know, touring nationally. But there's also some work around how does that become a TV program, and how do I develop a script and get that in front of producers. So there's obviously like some things might be more priority than others, and obviously we can't, you know, you can't do everything all at once. So I think it's about like setting out those sort of top 3 things that you might want within the application form. I suppose those top 3 things that you want to kind of hit upon, and try and work through. And when you get to, you know, if you're successful and we get to the point of like creating that development plan, then we might, you know, there'll be advice about where to prioritize and what to think about and what to do first, or what to put, you know, a bit later on, or, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's really key. I also think that there's, you know, there's the big goal, like where you'd love your career to get to, and that could be, you know, pretty rich and complex as an idea. Like it can be really multifaceted because so many portfolio careers are. And I think sharing that with us, what you'd love your career to be made up of in, you know, 5-10 years time, but then also what are the kind of really specific goals that you've got for this year. And as Heather said, you know, that prioritization, we can help with that. And I think, you know, that's definitely some part of the journey that we've been on with the 2024 artists. You know, loads of ideas, okay, but let's really pick a couple that we can make some headway on and see where they get to. And actually then the journey has changed a little bit along the way as well, and things that maybe weren't on the radar have cropped up and have become something. So, you know, it's an ongoing question, I guess, that will be asked throughout the year. But for us to begin with, having a sense of where you'd love to get to and some of the kind of the key building blocks towards that you feel you could achieve in the year that you think this programme could contribute to is really helpful. Does the referee need to be from Tees Valley? Nope. That's an easy one. And then there's another question. If you're not currently earning the bulk of your income from your creative practice, will that reduce your chances of success? I think the key thing is that this programme will require you to dedicate time to the work that kind of comes out of it. And the idea of the bursary is to help you to dedicate more of that time. It's equivalent to a real living wage. So it is essentially kind of a salary commitment from us to you to help you make this the focus of your work. What we really need to understand is that that is your aspiration. Now, what we're not saying is if you work elsewhere, you have to give up your job to do this. That's not realistic for some people, but it is going to be a significant time commitment. And what we want to see, I think, is that kind of that preparation of a transition to this becoming your main source of income, and that this programme is going to fit in, and you're going to have the time available to really dedicate to this programme to help you get the most of the opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think like, because obviously, yeah, you might not have, you know, there's probably an example where, you know, you might not have the income coming in, but you've actually achieved quite a significant professional recognition, etc. So I think that, you know, if I think it's balancing those things. So yeah, but yeah, exactly. I think what you're saying.
Yeah. And we've just been asked to clarify, would the selected artists be expected to give up any part-time work they currently do to participate in this programme? So to give a bit of context, so I think all of the 2024 artists are freelancers, but some of them had contracts already in place that they were committed to delivering in 2024. And this programme hasn't required them to renege on any of those contracts. They've delivered those, but what it has enabled them to do is say no to things that aren't necessarily pulling towards their ultimate goal, but they might have previously had to say yes to in order to kind of make ends meet and kind of bring the income in a balanced way that they needed it to. So this programme, that using the bursary as a means of saying, yes more often to the kind of work you want to be doing, and being able to dedicate the wraparound time to being able to pursue that. I think there is so much to get out of the program, and it's as much time, you know, the more time you can give it, the better. However, we understand that if you have a part-time job, that will need to be factored in. But ultimately what we'd love to be able to support you in is over the course of the year, you know, maybe you'll get into a stage where you don't need to do that as well. Like, this can be your full-time thing, but you know, everything is sort of subjective to the individual. All of your individual circumstances will be different, and we will take that into account. I think the key thing for us is that we see that there's enough capacity for you to be able to commit and get, you know, really get the most you can out of this.
I think it's a careful balance. I think, you know, we've had the same with the cohort now, like the careful balance between, you know, obviously keeping, say, like clients that you already have, and you know, because if you completely disappear offline, now I'm not taking any of this work that I usually do off the table, and then, you know, then that's sort of, you're losing, say, your client base. And so I think it is a careful balance, and we're trying to work with the artists that's selected to ensure that, you know, you're essentially not potentially losing an income stream by completely giving up one thing. And that's probably, you know, example that you might, you know, if you've got a sort of commercial strand to your work, but you're really wanting to sort of move into something else, but you want to maintain that commercial strand because that's like a real backbone to, you know, your income streams. So, you know, don't want to completely give that up. So I think that's really important. I think the other thing to say is we do try to be as flexible as possible in terms of, like, you know, making dates work for people. We have like a sort of shared calendar when we've got all the artists together, we know like what dates can do, where are you, know, because, you know, if you're on tour or you're doing this or you're doing that, like, we don't want to obviously kind of stop those things happening, because, you know, it's part of your practice and your work. You know, you're practicing artist and you're still doing what you're doing. So we do try to sort of work around things as much as we can. But,
yeah, there's a balance, isn't there? It's not going to work if you're kind of 9 to 5 doing something else and we can only ever see you at an evening or a weekend, or if you're kind of even close to that. But at the same time, this program is an X factor. You know, when it's not
going to lock you in a house.
No, and we have to be realistic about, you know, what can be achieved in the year. There's a huge amount that's going to be achieved in the year, but actually what we anticipate is that what happens in 2025 for that cohort will continue to be valuable and beneficial for years to come. It's kind of a gear change towards the career you're building moving, accelerating things in the right direction. But there will still be work to do in 2026. You'll still be on that journey in 2027. But hopefully this will arm you with a kind of a new energy, new contacts, new networks, new tools that you can drive towards that. So we don't expect 2025 to be a magic wand, but it's going to be a really worthwhile and valuable kind of accelerator on the journey that you're already on. And we've had another question. We can take maybe a couple more, but we're conscious of time. So final question, what about if people are unemployed or on benefits?
I think that's quite a tricky one. I might need to come back to you on that one, but because obviously it might affect, because you are then essentially receiving a wage, but it's in the form of a grant. So I would probably, it might affect the fact that you get benefits, for example. So I think that's something that I might have to look into in terms of how that would affect, you know, the benefits that you're in receipt of, because obviously you are receiving, you know, an income essentially. So I will get back on that, and we will post that on our FAQs once we have an answer.
Yes, so check back onto the FAQ sheet on the website for follow up on that. We're at the end of the questions in the box. Unless anybody else adds something sort of urgently now, we'll wrap up there. We'll update the FAQs sheet, as we've said, and all of the information that we've talked through and expanded on tonight is available online. If you haven't already downloaded it, then do. And if you are from this fired up and ready to apply, then we wish you all the luck. Please know that even if you aren't successful, your application will have been given really strong consideration and had eyes on it from some of the leaders in their fields in the region. And, you know, not everybody will become one of the artists of the year, but there is a whole community there cheering you on in your application and what you go on to do. And there are lots of programs out there that the Combined Authority is investing in, that other partners are investing in, that are all designed to support those working in the sector in this region. And we are collectively on a mission to make this a great place to be an artist, to be a freelancer. The Tees Valley Freelancers Network may be worth checking out if you haven't already. If you're at an earlier stage in your career, then the Tees Valley New Creatives Network is also worth a look. But we hope that you'll stay in touch and stay connected to the programme that we deliver through the Combined Authority. But for now, we'll wrap up and wish you the best of luck with your application and look forward to reading and receiving your submissions. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, bye.